Imagine a story so vast it holds all other stories within it. A tale whispered on the wind across ages, passed from the wise to the student, passed from a mother to her child. This is the Mahabharata, not just a book. It's a universe captured in verses. Kings and queens, gods and demons, ascetics, warriors. Its heart beats to the rhythm of deep forests, mighty rivers and thriving cities. The epic is unique. What is not here is nowhere else. This bold claim is a challenge thrown across the ages. This is a family quarrel that turned into a war to end a yuga. The story begins with a sage, Vyasa. Vyasa dictated. It needed power to write. The gods suggested Ganesha. Ganesha agreed, on one condition. Vyasa would not stop. Vyasa put his condition. Ganesha must first understand. This divine pact created the longest poem ever composed. A labyrinth of interwoven stories was born. Long before the Great War, the lands of Bharatavarsha, or Aryavata, were a vibrant tapestry of wilderness and civilization. Sacred rivers, the Ganga, the Yamuna, flowed from the snowy Himalayas, their waters nourishing the fertile plains below. This was the cradle of a new civilization. Small villages, or grammars, slowly grew into walled towns, and then into magnificent cities or nagaras. These were not the chaotic sprawl of today. They were meticulously planned, often with high walls, moats filled with crocodiles, and grand gates facing the four cardinal directions. The air was filled with the scent of sandalwood incense from the temples and the clang of hammers from blacksmiths' forges, a symphony of an emerging society. The cities were the jewels of the kingdoms. Hastinapura, the city of elephants, was the seat of the Kuru dynasty and the grand prize. Further afield lay Indraprastha, a city raised from barren wilderness by the Pandavas. It was an architectural marvel, built by the celestial architect Maya, a place of magical illusions and breathtaking beauty. The assembly hall was so polished that visitors would mistake the floor for a pool of water, and a pool of water for a polished floor, a source of both wonder and great embarrassment for the visiting Kauravas. Life in these cities revolved around the palace and the temple. The king's palace was the center of power and justice, while the temple was the spiritual heart of the community. The streets were laid out in a grid pattern, with specific quarters for different artisans and merchants. Potters, weavers, goldsmiths, and chariot makers all had their place. The sounds of daily life were a constant hum, the chanting of Vedic hymns at dawn, the chatter of merchants in the marketplace, the laughter of children playing in courtyards, and the rumble of chariot wheels on paved roads. This was a society in full bloom, confident in its structure and its place in the cosmos. Beyond the city walls, the vast expanse of the subcontinent stretched out. Dense forests were home to ashrams, where sages pondered the mysteries of the universe. These forests were also dangerous places, inhabited by rakshasas and wild beasts. At the heart of the Mahabharata lies the Kuru dynasty, a family tree whose roots stretch back to celestial knowledge. The throne of Hastinapura, the axis around which their world spun. The king, or Raja, was not merely a ruler. He was the guardian of cosmic order, the protector of the people, the Praja. His duty to ensure prosperity. His duty to dispense justice. The story of the Kurus is a tragic lesson, a tale of how ambition, envy, and a weak king could shatter this sacred trust. King Dhritarashtra, blind from birth, sits on the throne. His blindness is both physical and metaphorical. Blind to the injustices committed by his own sons, the 100 Kauravas, led by the arrogant and envious Duryodhana. Society was hierarchical, the king at the very top. His ministers, priests, military commanders. A king's legitimacy rested on his lineage and on grand Vedic sacrifices. The Rajasuya, the Ashvamedha, Yudhishthira, the eldest Pandava, performs the Rajasuya sacrifice to be declared emperor. This event plants the seed of Duryodhana's all-consuming jealousy. This public display of power and divine favour is crucial. The kingdom was seen as a living entity. The king was its conscious mind. If the king was weak or unjust, droughts, famines, civil unrest would follow. The conflict between the Pandavas and the Kauravas highlights the complexities of succession and entitlement. The Pandavas are the sons of Pandu. Rightfully, Yudhishthira is the legitimate heir. However, Duryodhana refuses to give even an inch of land. He believes he is the rightful heir since his father is the reigning king. This disagreement divides the entire kingdom. Grandfather Bhishma, the royal teacher Drona, even though they know Duryodhana is in the wrong, they are bound by their oaths to protect the throne. Oaths were sacred. A warrior's word would lead to tragic consequences. Karna knows the Pandavas are his half-brothers, but he is bound by his friendship and loyalty to Duryodhana. He gave him a kingdom, treated him as an equal. The conflict between personal affection, sneha, and societal duty, dharma, burns. The entire society, from the highest king to the lowest soldier, is drawn into this whirlpool of divided loyalties. They move towards a catastrophic war that they know is unjust but cannot prevent. If there is one concept that truly runs through every line of the Mahabharata, it is Dharma. The word itself is difficult to translate. It's not just religion or law. Dharma is the inner right path. It is duty. It is ethics. It is the cosmic order that holds the universe together. Everyone has their own Svadharma. It is shaped by their varna, ashrama, and circumstances. The main conflict of the epic is the struggle between Dharma and Adharma. Yudhishthira is the Dharma Raja, but even he struggles to understand the subtle and conflicting demands of Dharma. The epic is full of dharmic dilemmas. Yudhishthira losing his kingdom, his brothers, and even his wife Draupadi in a game of dice, is that right? His Kshatriya Dharma forces him to accept the challenge, but the results are disastrous. It leads to Draupadi's public humiliation. This event is a turning point. The wise men in the court debate the legality of the game. This shows that Dharma is not a fixed set of rules. Krishna, a divine incarnation and cousin to the Pandavas, is the ultimate guide, not a distant god, but an active participant, a strategist and a philosopher. The Bhagavad Gita, which he gives to Arjuna at Kurukshetra, is the philosophical heart of the epic. Arjuna, seeing his relatives as enemies, sadly refuses to fight. Krishna tells him that as a Kshatriya, his Svadharma is to fight against Adharma. He must act without being attached to the results of his actions. The story shows that Dharma is situational. What is right in one situation may be wrong in another. Bhishma fights for Duryodhana because of his vow and walks towards his tragic death. Ashwatthama is dead, is shouted, whispered, elephant. Deception is done for a greater good. The war is won. But this action weighs heavily on Yudhishthira's spirit. Dharma is like the sharp edge of a razor, a difficult path to walk. A concept very closely linked to Dharma is karma. Karma is the law of cause and effect. Every action has a consequence. This is not fate, but the principle of universal justice. Good actions bring positive results. Negative actions lead to suffering. The Mahabharata shows this law across generations with the suffering of the Pandavas and the destruction of the Kauravas. Curses are the tools of karma. Pandu shoots an arrow at a sage disguised as a deer and is cursed. Gandhari blinds herself to accompany her blind husband, becoming blind to the misdeeds of her sons. Their adharma grows. Karna's life is shaped by the ripples of his early abandonment. He becomes tied to Duryodhana, who honors him. In the final battle, his chariot wheel gets stuck in the mud. He forgets his sacred chants. The curses take their toll. The world of the Mahabharata is one of breathtaking grandeur and richness. A place where human and divine meet in art and architecture. Towers carved from living rock. Walls covered with gods, goddesses, apsaras, and epic scenes. Black stone and bronze statues stand in the sacred space. The scent of jasmine, camphor, and sandalwood opens a door to another realm. The palaces of kings are a display of power and wealth. Shimmering surfaces, a jeweled throne, wise ministers and warrior commanders surrounded by fine silks and heavy gold. Art is not just decorative, it tells stories, conveys values and reinforces the divine right of the kingdom. The chariot, the ratha, is a symbol of a kshatriya's power, not a simple vehicle, but a war machine of sal and teak, light for speed, sturdy for battle. Pulled by 2 or 4 horses of a single colour. The charioteer steers and defends. The warrior behind is armed with bow, javelin, mace and sword. The bannered rathas of Arjuna and Karna. Krishna, as Arjuna's charioteer, guides both the ratha and the soul through the chaos. This splendour is framed by mystical forests, with peacocks and tigers, the mighty Himalayas and the Ganges flowing like a goddess life, purification and a celestial passage. The threads of Dharma, karma, ambition and loyalty converge at Kurukshetra. For 18 days, armies of unimaginable size clash. Bhishma, Drona, Surya's armoured son Karna, and Arjuna of the Gandhava, the intersection of mortals and the divine. Astras, invoked with sacred mantras, fire, flood, magical projectiles streak across the skies. Rules of honour are declared, but as the war heats up, they are broken one by one. The story of the Mahabharata didn't end on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It continues to live and breathe in the heart of modern India. It's not some dusty old relic locked away in libraries. It's a living part of the culture and spirit. Arjuna, Bhima, Draupadi, Karna. These are household names. The tough choices faced by the Pandavas are talked about in modern business schools. The epic is told again and again in comic books, novels, TV shows and movies. The Bhagavad Gita is read every day as one of the most sacred texts. It offers guidance to millions through action, devotion and knowledge. Gandhi himself called it his spiritual dictionary. The Festival of Lights, Diwali, is also seen as a celebration of the Pandavas' return. The Yam and Pandav Leela keep the epic alive on the ritual stage. The story gives us a common language. Family disagreements are a Mahabharata, hard choices are Dharma Sankat. Yudhishthira stands for truth and the danger of addiction. Duryodhana for jealousy. Karna for generosity and tragedy. Why does this story, born from a distant past, still hold such power? Because the Mahabharata is like the Ganges. It flows through time, changing direction, but its waters remain the same. It's a family story. Brotherly love, friends' loyalty, cousins' jealousy, parents' sorrow, these echo as much in ancient palaces as they do today. There are no easy answers. No white knights and black villains, but endless shades of grey. Heroes are flawed, villains are sometimes noble. The Mahabharata gives us the courage to ask questions. A treasure trove of intertwined stories, Savitri, Nala and Damayanti, Shakuntala, enrich the main narrative. Every life is a Kurukshetra. The battle continues with the Kauravas and Pandavas within us. The Mahabharata is wisdom to live by, an echo from eternity that still speaks.